I mean, one of our biggest things and our goals all the time is how do we help ourselves stay healthy, and how do we help our family members stay healthy? And that doesn't always mean just eating well and working out and taking vitamins. We're saying your mind needs to stay healthy. Your heart needs to stay healthy. Your faith needs to stay healthy. Your relationships need to stay healthy. Like, all areas of your life have to stay healthy. And everything you're talking about today is the components it takes to stay healthy. Hello, everyone. We are Greg and Jacquie Francis, and welcome to High Performance Parenting, where our passionate goal is to encourage you to raise champion children in a crazy world. Every week, we will bring you multiple episodes from our extensive experience of raising our six happy, healthy, successful, godly kids who are confidently equipped to win big in life.
We deeply believe that any parent who is provided with the right knowledge and continual support can raise amazing kids. And when they do, all of our futures get better. If raising up future generations of absolute champions matters to you as much as it does to us, here's how you can contribute. Like and share this podcast with everyone you know. And together, let's embrace this journey of raising champion kids in a crazy world. Okay, here we go.
Part 125.
You know what? I stayed up all night wondering where the sun went, and then it dawned on me.
I'm fading, babe. I'm fading here.
You're not fading. That was so good. All right. Why should you never throw Grandpa's false teeth at a vehicle? You might dent your car.
We got to move on here. The more episodes we have and the more jokes you try to tell, it's getting... I wonder what personality you are, hon.
Hey, what do you do to have a space party? You plan it. All right. Okay, we're talking about strength finders. And so
I know your strengths.
Part of optimized living is, they did a really cool study on this. This is probably the most impactful thing I heard about this that made me want to dig in deep. And they had this study of youth, and I can't remember what the exact numbers were, but you get the point. It was like, let's say that, some elementary school kids, their average reading speed was like 150 words a minute. I don't remember what the number is, but it's something like that. And there was some kids that were a little below average. They were maybe like 100 words a minute. Then there was kids that were naturally above average, and they were reading at like 200 words a minute. So they gave them both pools of kids, the ones that were a little behind and the kids that seemed like they already had a natural gifting. They gave them this speed reading / memorization / concentration type process that's been proven to work to improve speed of reading and comprehension. And they all took it. And what's cool is the kids who were behind, who obviously were not natural readers, they went from 100 words a minute up to like 180. So almost a 200% increase.
Wow.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah.
The unique thing, though, is the kids who were naturally gifted that were at 200, they went from like 200 to like 1,000 words a minute.
That would be Bella.
So they did like a 5 times. The other kids didn't even do a 1 times. They did a 5 times. And it just goes to show that if you're doing something within your natural giftings and then you train yourself in those natural giftings, you can maximize these things.
Sure.
And so, a scale of these 34 different tasks, they come out and you get your top 10. And the whole thing isn't really about what order the top 10 is in. It's more about that there is a top 10 and you know what they are. Like for instance, I mentioned winning others over. That's the person that you want being the greeter at the church. It's the person you want that's going to be welcoming people into your lobby at your business. You want people who can just work the room. They're giving life to it. We have a friend named Ashley who she has woo all day long. Anywhere you go, you hear her voice. She's making people giggle. She's giving people hugs. She's making everybody feel like, this is like a party that you just got invited to and you're the main person.
Yes, everyone's welcomed and everyone's here.
And it doesn't exhaust her. She's great at it.
Yeah.
So putting her in roles like that, she just shines. Now me, I'm not the welcome guy at the church. I'm the guy who shows up with like 90 seconds before the thing starts because I don't want to be in the lobby having to do anything with woo.
Right.
And that's just goes to show, at some point I could be like, man, does that make me like I don't care about people, or is it just that I'm selfish or whatever, if you don't understand this.
Right.
But the reality is it's just it's so out of my natural comfort zone that it's just not who I am. Now, and by the way, it was like number 33 out of 34, on my test that I took. But then you do individualization was one of mine. And that's where you actually have a real giftedness to be able to get to know people on an individual level. You can understand them pretty quickly and even be able to see things that might help unlock them even more. Like it just kind of comes natural, right? And that's so me. That's why I like doing coaching. That's why, it's just fun. I don't have any hesitation or fear when we do a coaching call. I'm just like, I know I can have no plan. We can show up and talk for 10 minutes and I can probably figure out what needs to be put into you for the next, 45 minutes. Right. And so that's what's cool. Like what were some of your strengths? I'm trying to remember. Do you remember what some of your top ones
Competition.
were? Competition. Yeah. Okay.
Gosh, it was, you were a vision. And then
futuristic. It's
yes,
called.
futuristic. And then
strategy.
Strategic
Strategic was one of mine.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Another one was, what was it? Oh shoot.
I know one of mine was achiever.
Yes, that was one of mine too.
That was one of yours, yeah. We both had competition, achiever. I know we had those for sure that are the same. Which just then, of course, when you look back on some of our endeavors we worked at together, I mean, one of the things was, I think the record for accomplishing a certain level of success was like 6 years.
Right.
So what did we do it in? We did it in 5.
Right.
Because that mattered to us, and we weren't even really competing against the other person. We were just we just like to compete, period. I mean, I just played my 3rd day in a row in basketball. And the reason I played today, which I usually take Wednesdays off, is because I knew that they only invited the most competitive guys today. So it was fun. It was just so fun for me. But again, just understanding these things about yourself and then learning how to live within them. One of the best examples I like to share with people is how when we were coaching one of our clients who does commercial real estate, and he brought in a new guy, and the new guy's job, because he's kind of just getting his, he's kind of cutting his teeth here.
Yeah.
He needed it. One of the things you always have to do, whether it's in real estate or anything, you have to always be getting new leads. And so there's a little bit of grunt work with like cold calling and making people aware that you even exist. Well, we put him on a position where he's like on his own. We're like, hey, we kind of went the route of responsibility. Listen, this is a very important part of this team. You need to do 50 cold calls a week. I need you to be able to handle this on your own. It's going to matter. It affects all of us if you don't do it.
Oh, yeah.
So I need you to take responsibility and handle this. And if you have a responsibility strength, you'll be like, done.
Never that was one of mine for sure.
Yeah. Never have to say another word.
Right.
It's like now I own it. It is, you will for sure count on me.
And
I will not be the weak link.
Right. And on top of that, no matter what else I have to do,
you'll get it done.
I will always get, like if my arm is cut off, I'm still going to show up as.
Yeah, it shows up in everything you do with parenting. Yes,
exactly.
Sure.
That was definitely one of mine.
But the thing was, he kept coming back and he had like 30 cold calls. And he's like, man, I don't know. I just didn't get it done. And,
Bummer.
And to the point where after 2-3 weeks of this, even, the main leader, he was like, I don't even know if we should hire this guy.
Sure.
Like, he just seems like he's just dropping the ball. I'm like, well, let's do the strength finders test. We did it. Come to find out, responsibility was his bottom 5. Okay. Right. So, but what was his number 1 was competition. And so I said, okay,
new level. Let's
do this now. We need you to make cold calls, the same task, but we're going to actually do a company-wide competition on a weekly basis. Right? And there's going to be bragging rights and there's going to be some recognition for this. The dude starts doing like 300-400 cold calls. He starts doubling everybody else and he is just like thriving. So here's a guy who was about to get fired because he wouldn't cold call through the strength of or lack of strength of responsibility. Doesn't really mean he's not a performer. He just needed the task to be done in a way that works for him. Now I'll tell you take somebody who doesn't have competition and you put them in that cold call competition, they're probably going to quit because it's like weird pressure. They don't handle it well. They don't like it, but maybe they have responsibility. So let them go and do it on their own without that. And, it's so important. So with like, again, optimized living, when it comes to parenting, again, this is another area to learn about each of our kids, right?
Well, and again, about each other. Like that's like, it's so big. Like, again, just talking about the different stuff that how do you parent together? You you got to take time to learn this kind of stuff.
For sure.
Because responsibility wasn't one of your top ones. And it goes to show why I do what I do, or you do what you do. And then how do we bring it together to make
the
it
strategy is. And so we
Right.
combine your responsibility with my strategy. And when we appreciate each other's strengths and don't compete with each other's strengths like this,
correct.
it's a thing of beauty.
Then we're
really.
literally rolling, and we're not clunky anymore. We're really working well together. So I encourage you again, like some of the stuff we're talking about today, some of it is directed to you as parents to work on yourself with again. You know what I mean? So that you can be a strong couple working together to parent well together as individuals that feel healthy as a mom and a dad, and then as parents together. I mean, one of our biggest things and our goals all the time is how do we help ourselves stay healthy, and how do we help our family members stay healthy? And that doesn't always mean just eating well and working out and taking vitamins. We're saying your mind needs to stay healthy. Your heart needs to stay healthy. Your faith needs to stay healthy. Your relationships need to stay healthy. Like all areas of your life have to stay healthy. And everything you're talking about today is the components it takes to stay healthy.
Yeah. One more area of optimized living to develop. And this is something that I've just learned recently. I'm going to be 50 next month, and I'm just still learning this stuff. And it came from, again, my pastor. And I actually have ordered the book he suggested. It's an older book. I'll let you know what it is after I read it, though. Okay, I like to stay ahead of the game a little bit.
You did not order me one. I knew it. I asked you the other day.
You did not. Honey,
you're lying.
Can you take the responsibility and order it, please?
Yeah, if you would have told me the
name of it?
Yes, but here you are in competition with me.
Actually, I don't think I ordered it for myself yet either. Maybe. I can't remember, but maybe.
I would have.
Will you order me?
I
would
would have.
Order us too?
As soon as you tell me what it is.
Here's the thing, though, that he was talking about, that this was really helpful because, with us, our faith matters a lot. And, we're engaging right now in a church like we've never done before, with some really great people that are very in alignment with how we want to live, which is taking who we are and going out and making a difference, right? We call that advancing kingdom territory. And but one of the things that he was bringing up is he said that there's an evaluation, much like love languages or strengths or personality types, but it's actually about how you feel close to God, how you actually personally can get into the presence of God. And it goes through a number of different categories and explains it. And there's different names. I don't want to hack it up because but I'll just tell you, like, one was something to do with the person who they always feel the closest to God when they are out somehow in nature, right? When they are, looking at a mountain or seeing a sunrise or whatever, sitting on a park bench, by a lake and watching the ducks float across. Like they sense the presence of God. Now, as one of my coaching clients, I was bringing this up, and he said there's a spot. He lives in Michigan, and he's like, there's this river, and he found this spot where he'll just walk down this trail, and it's kind of a secluded place with a place to sit, and it's his favorite place to go get in the Word of God. He just sits there. Not a lot of people are there, but he said, I can get into the Word of God there more than any other place in my life. I'm like, see, this is probably a natural thing for you to get in the presence of God like that. He said that there's some people. Did you want what?
Well, I was just saying that's how you are.
Well, there's a few of them. So I think the one that resonated with me that he described was when there is like a group of people that have some kind of a collective effort to do something that's going to really impact others. Like I feel really when I'm doing some kind of projects that I think are going to make a big impact, and I don't have to do it alone, but I can do it with others. That one really makes me feel close to God. Like that one is probably my number one of the ones that I heard him describe. Again, we got to get the book to read all of them, but
what's that called again, so I can order that up?
I can't tell you right now, but anyway, so that was one. One that he said is his biggest one. It's like someone who he's the type of person that feels closer to God when he's really sacrificing for God. It's that stretch of giving, or maybe, for him, remember he just moved from San Diego out to Boise, Idaho to start a church, and he does it all on a volunteer basis. Like there's a pretty big sacrifice with a life he left behind in order to be a volunteer here in order to grow a city from scratch, with what they're doing. Like every day he probably feels like he's sacrificing.
Well, and I remember one of your friends said he feels closest when he's in a group doing praise and worship and like group prayers and group interaction of that
That's
sort. While, like you said, somebody else.
Yep. Some people, it's like there's one that's all about the worship thing, right? Where if you're really into worship and that's another one. There's a handful. I can't wait to read it. But
grab that book.
But the point is, though, again, this is the reason I want to get the book, the reason I want to start digging in, the reason I actually am excited after we learn this stuff and we talk about it, then we can share this with also our kids.
Right.
And now because here's what happens. Sometimes I'm sitting there even watching. I know one of them was like missions work. Like some people really feel closest to the presence of God when they're doing some form of missions work. And then that one would be one like I'd almost feel guilty about because I'm like, I don't sense that, I'm not afraid to like, I'm in support of it, but I don't feel like that's where I'm supposed to be necessarily. But you can feel guilty because you're like, does that mean I'm just not that spiritual? Does that mean that I'm kind of off? Does that mean that I'm selfish? What does that mean? It's like, no, God, see, again, humility is just like, when you really understand that I'm supposed to be designed the way that I'm designed, like God had designed you, me, with our unique, all these different categories on purpose. And it's a discredit to God for us to try to be something different. That's not humility. That's selfishness.
Well, and also, not only is that true, but on top of that, we're not helping each other be the best version of what God wanted for each of us if we don't help bring that out in each other.
That's right. But you see, think about this idea of humility, though, that what? God designed us exactly the way he did on purpose. It's our job to understand what that is and then double down on what it is. But now this would end the marketing world if we really got this, because we would not be trying to become something that God didn't design us. We would actually embrace the beauty of who we are. And we'd also be excited for others for who they are, right? And so, again, brings it all back full circle to what we've been talking about with the kids.
That's right.
When we can celebrate each other for what you are great at and what is natural for you and what are your strengths and your love language isn't wrong because it's not mine. And your personality type isn't bad because it's not the one I have, right? It's like, no, you're designed the way you're supposed to be designed, and it's all for a purpose that's bigger than ourselves.
So good.
So good. Sure do love you, by the way.
Love you too.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening and thanks for your love and support. We hope that today's episode added tremendous value to you and your family. It would mean so much to us if you would partner with us on our mission of helping parents around the globe raise champion children in this crazy world.
To do so, simply take a moment to like and share this podcast with everyone in your network. See you next time.